Hey there everybody, welcome back with the Plat. Purplatypus is the name, and really quick before we jump into the video, just wanted to remind you to subscribe if you like it at the end of it, or leave a like or a comment or something. Comments are probably going to be most common here because you're probably going to disagree with me and tell me why I'm stupid. Bring it on. Honestly, I think I've responded to like 90% plus of all my comments, but let's just jump into the video, honestly. Today we're going to do a tier list of all the loadouts of the characters. This is based on my opinion. Let's switch over to it. This is going to be based on my opinion, obviously. I mean, why would I do it based on someone else's opinion? From what I've seen in the community, there are going to be some things that don't surprise you at all, and there are going to be some things that might surprise you a bit. So, let me know why you agree, disagree. Let's get into it. We're just going to do it in order here to not mess anything up. If you hear anything like this in the background, it's because we actually have One Step from Eden that in the background. That way I have some music on that you guys are familiar with. And apparently it just makes sounds. So we're gonna start right here. You know, it feels bad to start so negative, right? But as you can see, it's gonna quickly ramp up. Pyroterra. You know what? We're gonna put this in F, Y, 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 Y. All right, so we have S is the best, A, B, C, and then F, Y, Y, Y. Now, this one is slightly controversial. So the way we're gonna do it, obviously SDF, but then we're gonna do it strongest on the left and weakest on the right. So we're gonna order it in that way as well. So we order top to bottom, left to right, top to bottom, because there are multiple characters, I think, in S, multiple in F, and I think they're not equally as strong, but they still will fall into that same category for multiple reasons. All right, Pyroterra, F, Y, Y, Y. So, Pyroterra, because her weapon, I mean, this is actually a pretty good thing here. We could, I could easily jump in and show you this stuff. This video is gonna be longer than I thought. Holy shit, but you know what? Who cares? Turn that off for a second. So if we jump in here to the characters, why does she suck? Sorry, not Violet. Terra, Pyro. So her weapon costs 2 mana. And she has no mana regen, essentially. She has very, very little mana regen. However, she does come with Citron, I think that's how you say that. Restore 0.2 mana when flame damage is dealt. So the idea is you create flame, and then the enemies get hit it a bunch, you get the mana back, you create more flame, and then you can combust them and stuff, and it's good. And you also have PK Fire, which is a good version of your weapon. The issue is, she doesn't really do anything fire-wise better. Combust is rare. Citron is common, and her weapon is not that good. It's not the best way to do flame damage. You'd rather just have like a firestorm, or just things like PK Fire. PK Fire is better than her weapon, and PK Fire is common. The fact that you always have it on right trigger is supposed to be redeeming, but the thing is, you put fire down, most enemies in the game are moving around a lot, so you'll use 2 mana, and you might get not even 1 mana back from it. But if you could set a bunch of fire, then the artifact becomes good, but it's a common artifact. You can get it with any build. Her weapon kind of just sucks. It just does. And the times it gets good, it's still not better than you would just have normal spells anyway. And like Combust is good, but just like, it's such a slow, painful start, which leads me to the second thing here. Break Terra, same exact issue, honestly. If we go into Break Terra, it's just like, you gain mana for each broken tile. The issue is it's so hard to get going. Yeah, hers only costs 1. It does 20 damage, but if you hit an enemy with it, you don't break the tile, right? You crack it. So then they have to move off of it for it to break, and then you get a little bit of mana regen. So the thing is, but you also start with such low mana regen, you never get going. It takes so long to get going. Entangle sucks. Flurry is decent. It's like the best spell. Mine is god-awful, and it's 2 mana, and it's terrible because they just never hit it. You have to like create a maze, and then they'll go into it. And Excavate is just not very good because so the thing is, she becomes good if you have like 9 tiles of theirs broken, but then you invested 9 mana into doing no damage to anyone, and it takes time to get set up, and they repair quick, and then you can get like 1 good attack off, which is still worse than just having like a switch bait most of the time, right? Or you can get like a flurry off, which is good, but it's still like not as good as just having other spells most of the time. It's a lot of setup, and the payoff is not particularly good. Where's she at? All right, so we're gonna move on. Those right away, we're starting really on weak characters here, but I do think Pyro is better than Break because Fire is stronger than nothing. All right, here we go. Money, everyone knows this. This is not even like a suspense save it to the end. Shopkeeper is insane. Shopkeeper Doesn't need to pay for artifacts from the shop. You have a shop wherever you go. The rerolls cost a lot to balance it out. Doesn't matter. Your HP is equal to your max money. So it's like you spend money, your HP goes down. However, you just use a remove to remove your starting artifact. Get up to 1,000 money. Once you have 1,000 money, use a remove to remove your starting artifact. And now your max HP is just 1,000. You can have 1,000 free dollars to spend on rerolls, upgrades, and removes. And you're just insanely busted and broken. And you start with good spells. And you have a great auto attack. No downside. Shopkeeper's easy GG. Now here's one that I think is going to be weird for people though. Kunai Shizo. People are not too keen on Shizo Kunai. However, I'm going to put him all the way up in S tier. I've never lost a run with Kunai Shizo. And if it's Shizo, you'll correct me, please, in the comments below. I don't, like, I'll admit, it's not the most fun character to play, but having Collect Ring and not taking any more spells is just enough to win on its own, typically. There's so many artifacts that synergize with consuming cards, with Kunai specifically, casting spells, you know, Bismuth, Hitseeker, I don't know, there's the consume card that gives you 20 shield, there's a consume card that deals 20 damage every time you cast one, and then you could just, it's just insane. Like, you don't need any other spells in the deck. You could just win off of that. Maybe on like Hell Mode 14 with 1 HP, it's not viable. But we're not talking about just like the highest of the Hell Modes, right? On Hell Mode 9, 10, 11, it's totally viable. Maybe once you get up to bosses all start at tier 4, it might have too low damage early on, I don't know. But it's insane. It's so powerful. I don't think it's Shopkeeper good. Because Shopkeeper does everything better. Because all you have to do is get a Collect Ring, which is not hard to find, and you're as good as this character. Although getting the free Kunai as well with your right trigger is really good. There's too many things that synergize with Kunai. Kunai are powerful. So the guy that starts with the best Kunai item, the best slash fix spell, is good as well. Execute, I'm actually going to put an A. I think people think Execute is better. I think Execute is insanely powerful. There's no doubt about that. One second. Making sure my voice changer's not on. Execute's really good. The only issue with it is that it's very weak early on. And because it's linchpin scales with your maximum money. And it's always just going to be a bad Sarah cannon. But you don't need to look for it. It's not a legendary, you know, prismatic spell. It's just a normal, you know, you have it on right trigger all the time. It's always there. It's really long cooldown. It's like a really, really bad Sarah cannon, but it's still insanely powerful because of how good Sarah cannon is, right? Sarah cannon does your full money as damage. This does half your money as damage. And when you kill something with it, you get money. The thing is, it has a really long charge time, so it's really insanely powerful, especially in the later the run goes, because you're just one-shotting everything. But in the early game, it is pretty, like, kind of weak, and you kind of could take some damage. And this is particularly brutal to newer players, as you don't... You have to know boss patterns and his patterns much better because you're anchored for like 2 seconds before it goes off. So it's so easy to miss. And even though you only need to hit bosses 3 times, there are times it can be really hard if you don't have some support to root them in place or something, right? But he has the built-in like traps and alignment and stuff, so it's not that hard. Again, not new player friendly in my opinion, but very, very good nonetheless. All right, both slices. So we're gonna go Snow. I think Snow is a solid... I think it's probably A tier. It's tough to say. So the thing is, Slicey Snow doesn't necessarily synergize with Ice more than other characters, which just seems counterintuitive, right? Because you need to get Ice, Frost. That way you get 2 Frost on someone, then you attack them, you proc it, you get mana back, you do extra damage, it's good. But you never want to get 3 Frost. If you get 3 Frost, it just explodes, and then she can't hit them to deal the extra damage to get the mana back. So she synergizes insanely high with getting 2 Frost on enemies, and then insanely, you know, no synergy when you get 3 Frost on enemies, which is kind of weird. So if you don't do a full Frost, but you have ways you can easily guarantee getting 2 Frost on someone, hitting them, getting 2 Frost, hitting them, then you do insane damage. But here's the thing, that it kind of doesn't matter that she doesn't synergize with 3 Frost, because Frost is so powerful in general, and so you're going to be getting Frost, or you know, with this character anyway. You're already gonna have a strong deck because those spells are just good in general. Hailstorm, Blizzard, Ice Hockey, right? They're all good. Ice Needle, they're all insanely powerful spells just in general. They're all good. Anima is good in general. So his character is good mostly because Frost is good. And if you're having trouble getting that 3rd Frost on, you can still synergize and start getting through your deck extra fast and particularly good at destroying rooms, and also an S tier fun character for sure. Invade, I think, is just going to be a C tier. I don't think Invade's bad necessarily. It just I don't know, it's just not as good, you know? There are some spells like Crossfire, I think maybe it's Crossfade, I don't know, like Zenith, that are like good with Invade specifically, not good with anyone else, but it's kind of just like cute. It's not really that good. Being on their side of the field is not usually that good. It can make it hard to time your dodges. Sometimes it can, you get free dodges because, they're doing something on your side, you go on their side. But when you come back, you always go back to the square you teleported from, I believe. So sometimes it's impossible to avoid an attack if you mistime your dodge and stuff. It just, it's not particularly powerful. It's just like, you could win the game, is it? No doubt. But I think you're coming from behind a little bit. Not particularly strong. You know what? Because it's like, okay, I have another character I can already see that's going in C tier. We'll put it in B. It's just kind of like a neutral. I don't think it's a hard character, but I don't think it's an easy character. Anything above here, I think is like, this is good. Here is like, this is very neutral, and then it goes negative. All right, Saffron, I think you guys aren't going to be surprised here. Solo Saffron is S tier, and we're actually going to put Solo Saffron... we're going to put Solo Saffron actually below Kunai, which I think is a little more controversial. Solo Saffron is maybe S tier when it comes to Hell Pass 14, because the ability to gain, HP by killing hostages, and you have to kill the hostages because they're all evil. But I don't think it's necessarily as easy to win right off the bat as Kunai, but it's tough. These two are pretty close in my book, because some people have said like Solo Saffron's not that good because she only starts with Ragnarok, even though it's a good spell, it's just not that good. But the benefit is that you don't need to get 6 removes to get an empty deck, right? You can have an empty deck in 1 remove, and you also start with no downsides, basically, right? You have a good weapon, or a decent like auto fire weapon, and you have a really good spell, essentially. It's not amazing, but it's really good. But you're only 1 spell away from breaking the game and switch bait. But even then, if you want to go a completely different direction, you could remove Ragnarok at one point and build a completely fresh deck without a bunch of junk in it. So that's really powerful on its own. Combined with a killer artifact of just getting maximum HP, Solo Saffron is way up there. We all knew it. Default Saffron, I'm actually going to put in B. It's probably more of an A. It's an A character. I'm putting it in B because it's boring. Default Saffron is boring, but honestly, a free revive is enough to just win most of the time. I think because you don't really have any offensive advantage, you're not that amazing. But the free revive on top of the Reva revive, right? You have 2 revives, you're almost guaranteeing a win at that point. So this might be like a semi-guaranteed, but they're super boring. I can't give them S because they're not that powerful. They just have like a good defensive ability, right? A revive is very, very powerful, especially because typically you're going to use, if you're going to die, on the wall or something, you'd use them all in the same fight. You'd use that revive, then the Reva revive, or whatever order they happen, and then you still have another try. So it can make a boss that you're really bad at trivial. So yeah, probably A. Chrono Saffron, we're actually going to put above Kunai. I think this is the second strongest character. And the reason I think that is because, one, you start with minigun. I mean, let me make sure I'm not a liar. Saffron, I know you guys can't see this. Chrono Saffron starts with minigun. So she starts with minigun, which is one of the best spells in the game, but also just having right trigger slow time, that's absolutely insane. You get free dodges. You can dodge whatever you want. There's a lot of spells that are like minigun, where if you slow time and then you minigun, they'll all go at one shot, basically, right? Because the bullets will go really slow, but they'll keep firing at the same speed for some reason. And then it wears off, and it all goes boom, so you get instant like damage. You can kind of snipe people, and a lot of spells will do things like that. Honestly, Chrono Saffron is extra powerful because of that right click slow time. Starting with minigun is not that big of a boon. It is insane, but also, it's like a common. It's really easy to find if you wanted to find it anyway. But yeah, I think that's pretty self-explanatory there. So this one's gonna be weird. You guys are probably gonna feel weird about the rest of the run. I mean, we're pretty top loaded in the front half here, but Shield, I think, is C. I think I ranked this really highly last time as one of the most OP new characters, and it's true my first win was with Shield, but the thing is, your damage kind of sucks. Your damage all comes from early on your shield throw, right? You throw all your shields, you deal damage with your shields, and you recatch it. If you miss, you don't do any damage, you lose all your shields, so it's a high risk, high reward kind of thing. Even that damage is not that good. It's like pretty good, but it's not that good. You get a lot of shields, a lot of defense, you get reflex, but everything is so defensive, it can be really hard to get damage fast enough. And when like when you get to higher hell modes and you start shuffling a lot to try to get damage because you're trying to cast these spells because you don't have a right trigger that deals any damage. You don't have any spells that deal damage really. It could be things will like get armor. They'll get armor, they'll get shields, they'll get spell power, the enemies. So they're scaling by when you shuffle. And you're just not, it's really hard in the early game. Obviously by the late game, you could be an unstoppable juggernaut of whatever you want. But I think the early game, the first few bosses, is extra hard for this character, especially like the mid game if you're trying to do something kind of memey, and you just don't focus on getting damage as fast as possible. In the same boat, I am going to put Beat Reva there. I think Beat Reva is more fun, and the fact that you start with Soul Link makes a Shopkeeper kind of a joke, which could be potentially a cheese strat to make this a higher tier character, but kind of still the same thing. I mean, what do you start with Beat Reva? You start, I mean, I don't remember because I don't play it that much. You start with Pinch, which deals, you know, 1 damage to yourself, which you fire 20 damage shot. Corset, kind of, it's just like, it is not really doing enough damage. It's such a weird defensive gameplay, which I don't think the mechanics lend itself to very well. So, yeah, they're both C. And don't get me wrong, I love Reva, and Reva is S tier boss. Like, what a fucking hard boss this is. But yeah, it's just, not amazing, in my opinion. But I'm sure people are going to disagree with that. I hear a lot of love for Reva, and I do love Reva still. Teardown, we're actually going to go B. I think this is like a mid-tier thing. And I've bashed Hazel a lot in my time, but I think Teardown is surprisingly good. Not as good as Invade, though. Let's put that over here. Keep in mind, these are going to be in order. Teardown, just the fact... I don't know if I love Teardown because of how much I dislike Build. Spoiler alert. But Teardown, being able to right-click and destroy structures is very good. Having the wrench attack is very good. Being able to destroy structures for spell power is really good. Like, she's got a lot going on for her. Like, yeah, she starts with blast crystals. That sucks. She starts with wall, which that sucks. Wall's not bad, though, with your passive, right? Yeah, you gain spell power, and then this deals damage. The fragment kind of sucks. The weapon's great. Pole kind of sucks. It's not bad, but it kind of sucks. I mean, you can use it to hit with the weapon. The wall is, like, okay because of your weapon. Blast crystals kind of suck, but it's almost okay because of your weapon, because you do gain your mana back. Minigun's insane. But basically, her weapon's really good, right? Her weapon's really good, and you already start with a few bad spells that are way better, because you start with some spells like Wall, 0 mana, but actually recovers your mana to full. Blast crystals, not that good, but you could do some decent damage with it. And suddenly, then you have like 3-4 spell power or whatever, and now your minigun is like really good. And that's like right off the bat too. So you don't really need to do much. She has like a self-contained kit that's pretty good. And it's mostly, I feel like, a minigun character because she has a way to increase her spell power and starts with minigun. So really good. On the other hand, Build, I'm torn here because I hate Build. It's my least favorite character, but I think I can't put it below the bottom C tier. I don't think it's F tier bad. I think because the thing is, this character is not necessarily that bad, but it's like one mistake and you lose. If you make one mistake, you put a wrong structure in a wrong place, suddenly you just lose, and there's nothing you could do about it. You put it, because you can't just, unlike Teardown, if you make a mistake with a structure, you can't get rid of it. Like, let's say you're building it up and you're like, all right, now they move it. Now, like, Gunner moves it to the back, right? He runs through you, the gun, and he moves it to the back row. And now it's shooting from the back row, and it could hit you and kill you, and there's no way to get rid of it. And so you're really reliant on building structures, you know, giving them spell power, clink, clink, clink. But the thing is, structures suck. Almost all structures suck, which is why Teardown's not bad, because you can destroy your sucky structures to benefit yourself from it. And so the idea of building these structures and keeping them alive and to win with them is pretty bad, especially because a few misplaced structures and suddenly you put them on your side sometimes, and now you've gotten rid of your dodge, you know, your ability to dodge. You put them on their side, and sometimes they just don't do anything, depending on what structures they are, like SD turret, right? But sometimes you can actually hit SD turret, and it's just like, it's just a bad character. But if you play really well and really, really carefully and really think about your moves, I think this character is quite a bit better. I'm not that smart, so I don't really do it. Manafire Gunner, I'm gonna put this B tier. I think this one might be controversial. A lot of people love Manafire Gunner. I think it's really good, but I don't know. We're gonna put this below, and we'll put it above Invade. I think this is fair. I'm actually gonna put Teardown above Invade as well, not above Snow. I'll put that there. All right. This is why you gotta watch the whole video so you see where it actually ends up, right? Manafire, every time you shoot, you get mana. You don't start with very many spells in your deck. I think you literally start with the one spell. You start with like Bomb or something. No, okay, I'm wrong. Sorry, you start with a couple things, but you do start with blue bullets, which is good. PK fire, bomb toss, innervate. A decent weapon that restores 1 mana on hit, and the stupid artifact that gives you 5 damage, which is irrelevant, basically. Unfortunately. But, yeah, just the ability to gain mana on a shot is really good. Not to mention that, like, if you get the thing that freezes time or slows time when you shuffle, you just do really, really good. You can just keep hitting things. But also, just being able to get free mana, and you have a piercing hit right away. That does okay damage. But lets you generate a ton of mana and just mash spells frequently once you get later in the game. Early game, I think it suffer a little bit, but I think Manafire is pretty good overall. I might actually put her, I'm going to put it below Teardown. I think it's a little bit harder to get going. Teardown's kind of self-built. Just, you get spell power, you get minigun, you win. Now, bullet hell, we're going all the way down here in the YYY tier. Not the lowest of the YYY tier. We'll put it above break, below pyro. So the issue is on 0 hell pass, bullet hell is actually pretty good. You can easily win the game with bullet hell. The issue is once you get any hell pass, enemies, every time you shuffle or whatever, they like get armor. Enemies just have armor, and armor reduces your attack damage. So you're just hitting enemies for 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and it's just like you don't do any damage. You don't have any mana regen. There's like no way to get out of the pit that you start stuck in. It's a character that you could obviously win with, but you start so far behind the other characters in terms of your damage output. You don't have any extra survivability to make up for it. You've got a really cool gun. You can find other guns, but they're all kind of weak. They all suffer the same thing. There's no artifact support for it. There's no spell support for it. If they had spells that like increase attack damage by 2, just like they have one that increases spell power by 2, it'd still be bad on most characters, but at least Bullet Hell Gunner would have something to aim for. Right now, Bullet Hell Gunner just doesn't really have anything. The only reason that it's above Break is because I think Break is just, I hate it. I hate Break. Now we're down to the 2 violet ones. I think this is going to be relatively uncontroversial. Double Time, I'm going to put it at the bottom of the A tier. We'll put it at 1 up. We'll put it above default. Yeah, we'll put it above default. So Double Time, if you're not familiar, you have the violin, you use it and you can go, there's 5 options. You stay still or you go to an adjacent square. Each one has a different effect. It costs 1 mana, you use it, stay still. You get a fragile, which there's a lot of fragile synergy things, but typically that's not what you're going to use. But if you have a fragile synergy thing, it's available to you. If you move forward, you do a 60 damage shot. You move backwards, you get 60 shield, but it goes up to 60 shields. Whatever your shields are at, it'll set it to 60 if it's lower than 60. If you have 0, it goes to 60. If you have 59, it goes to 60. If you have 120, it does nothing, so it's a waste. Going down will provide you with a large mana increase. I think it's like 4 mana, 3 to 5 mana, somewhere around there. I don't remember the exact number. And going up will give you 1 charge of Trinity. All very good. So basically, the reason she's good is because you have free mana regen, free shields, and free Trinity. And she has Trinity built into her starting kit, like with her spells as well. The issue is you start with kind of low mana regen, so it requires a lot of thinking. Early game, you just don't have a bunch of mana, so you have to keep remembering before you get too low on mana to recharge it. So max mana is really good on this character, better than on most characters because you have bad mana regen, or sorry, you have bad max mana, but great mana regen because you can just move down, you know, R2, move down or whatever, and get your mana back. So you gotta think a little bit more, so it's a slightly harder character to use. I don't think it's super new player friendly, but there's no doubt it's insanely powerful. Being able to get Trinity up to 3 when you only have 1 spell in the deck you want a Trinity is really good. Later in the game, it's not as important because you're gonna have a multiple Trinity spells if that's what you're going. But just having access to give yourself fragile, having access to shields without having to have a spell, having access to Trinity without having to have a spell, and the 60 damage is not irrelevant either. And then having access to fully recovering your mana is just insanely powerful. Not the easiest character to play, but again, very powerful. Now, Arya, I think this one might be controversial, actually. I don't know. I'm going to put Arya as up here. I'm going to put it at the bottom of A. Sorry, bottom of A. Now, a lot of people hate this character, and I'm not necessarily a hater, but I can understand the hate. So let's go Violet. So Arya, you start every battle with poison, and you can use this to gain 10 poison and restore 1.5 mana per second until you move. So the thing is, this character is like an IQ 4,000 character or something. It's 400 high. I don't know IQs. I'm too stupid for that. That's why my IQ is not 400. But the thing is, you start with the ability to heal 160 between every fight and 80 poison. The thing is, you just use this every time you're about to take poison damage. Essentially, you can never take poison damage, right? Because whenever you add a stack of poison, it resets the 2-second timer poison takes to do it. So every 1.5 seconds, 1.9 seconds, you apply a poison to yourself, and you never ever need to worry about it because you just never take damage and you're getting free mana, you know, and free heals, everything. Now, I will say it can cause you to take damage sometimes. but having insane amounts of heals mean you get to use your resources on other things. But it's very powerful to heal this much in between every fight. And even this is still a net positive. If you don't use your weapon, even if you take like the full stacks, I think you're still gaining like 10 life, so it's not bad to take. But you can also just negate it completely. Not to mention, she actually starts with sorry, Violet. Pretty good stuff. Skewer is good for a jam deck, right? Incline is a very powerful spell. Sludge Bomb, pretty bad, but it has potential. And then Maximum Mana, honestly, I'd probably remove this. Maximum Mana kind of sucks, I think, but like, it got a decent start. I think it's an A, because it's a character that's slightly easier to win with than it is to lose with. Although, I will say, if you're inexperienced at the game, I would put this character down at the bottom of C tier, maybe down at an F tier. But once you have a lot of experience in the game and you're not like freaking out about paying attention to the patterns, and you can pay attention to your own character and what they're doing, I think just remembering to get the free healing is very powerful. And Chrono Saffron, I think, starts with like Heart of the Cards, which is garbage. It's like a really bad version of Vaccine. And Vaccine isn't that good, but Vaccine is really good when you get to apply poison yourself and gain mana. She has like insane mana pools and insane mana and insane healing, which is like obviously really good. It comes with the cost of having to pay very, very careful attention though. Like that's it. Actually, I think we did all the kits. So that's going to be the end of the video. Definitely longer than I thought, but guys, let me know what you thought in the comments below. According to YouTube, 85% of my viewers are not subscribed, so it'd mean a lot if you guys subscribe. You know, I'm a very small YouTuber, so literally every single subscription matters, and I pay attention to it. I still get notifications on my phone, and I see your name when you subscribe, so it feels cool. I get notifications for every comment that I get, and I respond to every comment that I get. And yeah, it just means a lot, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you thought, and I'll see you next time. The Purplatypus is Purplatypus. Peace out, friends.